You already know this bit, but sometime in the 2020s, two geeks from across social media formed an alliance to bring you geek news from across the Nostalgiaverse. They are Jacob's Toys and SuperSorrell. Together, they have been bringing you the weekly live show, Geek Week in Review, every Sunday. But sometimes, something takes place during the week that requires their full attention. No schedule and no time slot, just an impromptu live stream. Welcome to Geek Week Plus, the bonus show.
Oh, hello. Welcome back to Geek Week Plus with me, Jacob's Toys, and of course, wonderful one and only SuperSorrell. How's everyone doing? Very, very quickly, shout out to a couple of people in the chat already who have been chatting before we went live. Legends of Cybertron Reviews, Stug138, Joby Ones there, Bethany Beth, started with a click, Shelley as well. And we will get to you. We will start talking to the comments and keeping the conversation going. If this is your first time watching, hello, welcome to Geek Week. This is a bonus show. This is an additional show to our Sunday night offering because, as the intro said, sometimes we've got someone or something to talk about, and this show's no exception, is it, Sorrel?
No, got plenty to talk about tonight.
We have got lots to talk about. So, without further ado, let's bring in our very esteemed guest. He is returning for his third visit to the Geek Week. It is, of course, Nerdzoic, aka Big Nerdy, aka Matt. How are we doing, buddy? All right?
3 visits, baby. That's right. I'm like hitting a hat trick tonight.
That's it. How are you? How's things your way?
Things are good. Got a little bit of a northeastern storm going on, so that's always super. But other than that, yeah, beautiful, man.
Good stuff. Thanks for joining us again. I know we spoke briefly before we started, but yeah, it's great to see you again. Everything good stateside?
Everything's pretty good. It's an election year, so I'm expecting everything to hit the fan here soon. I feel like that's when like all of us geeks who everyone goes to try to get away from crazy stuff. Like this is our time to shine, man. When everyone wants to turn off whatever's going on in the world.
We get so much coverage of the American elections and that it's just it's like the best worst reality TV show ever.
It basically turned into like a WrestleMania coverage. Like it's like, all right, we're on the road to WrestleMania, but it's really the road to the election.
That's it. But
like, you know, October's the Royal Rumble. Something bad's going to come out about somebody. Like it happens every time. It's great.
It's great because the American elections, you get them all talking trash at one another. You can't do that in England. You know, England, you just get our stupid prime minister going, you can't do that. No. Over there, it's like, that guy's an asshole.
Yep. It's crazy.
We massively live up to the stereotype and we're all just too polite and don't want to offend anyone.
I don't know. I think Canada might have you guys on that one.
Okay, yeah. We'll share that. We'll share that title with them. That's fine. That is fine. Of course, tonight's show, there isn't anything particular we're talking about. We are just shooting the hay, as they say, with Nerdzoic, just talking about what's been going on. I was trying to work out when you came on last. It was quite a while ago. Me and Sorrel were talking, and I think
it's cool because like the first time he came on, you were still had your day job where you were like, I think you were like doing. We like in like a factory or a workshop or like
warehouse. Warehouse. Then
that was it. I would say like Amazon, and then your second time you came on, you just had the store and you just had the flood.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So you guys have had me through the gauntlet here. Yeah.
We have.
That hellacious job for it wasn't even that long. It was 9 months, but it felt like 9 years. Then the flood happened, and you know I ended up leaving that job shortly after the flood just because I couldn't mentally take it anymore. I'm like, I got enough money saved up to last about 3 months. So after 3 months, it was all right, time to get a job. But you put on your resume that you have a business that's on the side, and all of a sudden everyone's like, if we hire you, are you just going to quit if you're successful? And I'm like, no, I would never do that. But I couldn't get anything. I make it to the final interview, get no offers. But then by the time 2023 started, it became pretty clear that I didn't need to work. I could do this full time. And here we are. Now I can't even imagine a world where I work a job because I'm doing this 80, 90 hours a week.
Yeah.
Imagine.
Yeah. Talking about your store, like obviously it's going from strength to strength. I mean, it's great to see. Always, obviously you're not UK based, are you? So you don't supply us guys over here. That's what you need next, Nerdzoic UK or
I
Nerdzoic
know.
Europe.
I gotta get like I gotta like
Franchise out.
franchise it. Get someone in Australia. Get Europe covered. I know
That's
the
it.
Philippines is always a struggle.
That's it. That is exactly it. But yeah, but obviously you go from strength to strength, and you're always hot on the deals and everything. So obviously, if there is anyone that's stateside that doesn't check out your store already, then I highly recommend they do because you got it all.
Yeah, we sure do. I'm really happy with it. I'm really proud of it. It's been a lot of work. There's a couple things I still have to do that I haven't done that I've been like fighting to make happen. Like Big Bad Toy Store has their pile of loot. I've been working my way towards it. It is like a technological marvel like you wouldn't believe to actually have that work correctly with all of the different e-commerce softwares.
Wow.
Like talking to Joel, who owns Big Bad, his brother coded that entire website from scratch, and he clocked in at something like 5,000 or 10,000 hours to code it.
Wow.
And I'm like, well, I don't have that kind of money or a brother that smart, so I'm going to have to rely on stringing things together. But I think I got it figured out. Hopefully, I'm a couple of weeks away from launching a beta test of that to make sure I didn't screw it up.
Nice.
Which I'm sure I did. Well, so we'll find errors. That happens a lot. But yeah, that's my next big thing with that, and we're hoping to throw. It's probably going to be a small one just to get my feet wet, but I want to throw a convention, like a toy show here in 2025. But I'm going to start really small just to make sure I didn't do anything dumb. Because, like, you know, I could try to do like a whole big all-in thing, but then with my luck, I'd end up like not finding employees for the day. I see some comments on the head. Thank you. This was freshly shaved last night. It doesn't hurt that there's literally nothing growing on the top anymore. So makes it easier. Definitely makes it easier. But they make all sorts of great products for us bald men now. Rough it up. You can get like matte or you can get shiny. It's great. That's like the extent of my style choices.
It's like,
doing the show
side and the party side. Is that what it is?
That's right.
Doing the Comic Cons were the best thing that I got into, you know, with my socks. I do the secondhand stuff. I don't do anything new, but I sell secondhand.
Oh, nice.
And getting into the Comic Con scene was the best thing that we ever did. Like my wife runs Super Toys, we call it. My wife runs Super Toys. She runs that herself, and she goes to like every convention going now because it's better than selling online.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. So I did one convention for our store, and I hated it because I just brought the wrong amount of product. Like it was 2 years ago, right when the 60th anniversary of all the Spider-Man stuff came out, and I had all of that stuff first. So I'm sitting there thinking, man, everyone's going to be going crazy for me here because I'm selling it at retail price at a convention. You don't have to pay shipping, and I sold like a case of everything, and I'm like, what the hell just happened? And everyone's coming in, they're asking for older stuff. And by older, I mean 2 or 3 years old. And I'm just like, oh. So when I do this, to do it right, it is like, I'm going to have to keep like a convention inventory of older stuff like you do, where it's not new. Because that's really, if you're going to make money in toys, that's where it's at.
Yeah, I have a good mixture of sort of like stuff that's recently kind of out that I've unboxed and don't want to keep and move on. And then a bunch of stuff that's from the older, and that seems to work really well.
I actually have like 5 tubs sitting in my in our business storage unit of stuff where I hate putting stuff up online if I'm only going to sell one unit of it.
Yeah,
so I don't do it. But it's like either stuff that I bought for myself and decided I didn't want, stuff from my collection from before, stuff I only have one of, saving it all for the next time I do a show. But I feel like, you know, with retail being what it is, I think that long term, these shows for the next 10 or 15 years are going to be where it's at.
Yeah, because we worked out that I did like 2 or 3 videos a day of unboxing something for 6 years. That's like 5,000 toys. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Everything's in storage. I can't keep that amount on display. So it was my wife that went, right, we're going to go through it. And she started bagging stuff up, going to these toy fairs and Comic Cons and making some books back. So it works. It does work. It keeps everything moving, ticking over.
Yeah, and that's a tough part. Like, I have next to zero display space. I have the 2 disorganized shelves behind me, that literally I have a pile of figures on the floor that you can't see because I just redid everything. And I was at IKEA on Friday, so I have another shelf, got to make a little L with it. And I'm like, all right, that's it. Once this is full, then the only way something can go onto it is if something else leaves. And
That's good mentality to have. Good mentality to have.
but then
That's my
I
problem.
looked at it, I mapped it out, and I'm like, ah, crap. The new shelf is literally going to hold my Fantastic Four with Galactus and my X-Men and the Sentinel, and that's about it. So I'm like, so I've literally gained no space here.
See, that's why I couldn't run a toy store or do what Sorrell does, because I would just keep everything. I'm like, yeah, this needs to stay. This needs to stay. Like,
You got to really have some, like, not just self-control. Like, I honestly get such a dopamine hit just getting like inventory in that it's like collecting. It's like, oh right, I got the newest wave in. I don't need to open it. I can just look at it.
yeah.
But then there's always, like, every wave there's something. Like we got some of the void wave in for Legends. Like I had to open Vision because I'm like, well, that's perfect. Got to have that. The last wave before that, it was like I got to have Blade and Luke Cage because I don't have them. But yeah, it's definitely a struggle for me.
Yeah. What are you because there's been some changes in the last like year in kind of collecting habits and like what's doing well and what's not doing well. What do you think what's the most popular kind of line for you at the moment?
If you go based off of like total volume, it's always going to be Hasbro. But if you go like figure by figure, NECA beats Hasbro for me.
Yeah.
Day in and day out. The problem is NECA releases what, like 2 figures a month, if that.
Yeah.
So I mean, they'll outsell Hasbro product 5-1. Now, part of that is because I have a great relationship with NECA. I place my orders. I'm usually there before. I usually place my orders before anybody else, which means I usually get them before anybody else because the warehouse for them is 2 hours away. So it's really easy for me to do well with that. But like with Hasbro, it's been very odd. It's up and down. But this year, to my surprise, actually, G.I. Joe overtook both Star Wars and Marvel Legends.
Wow.
And I didn't see that coming into the year.
No. See, that G.I. Joe all switched up for us because I think it's about a year back now, wasn't it? So that it went to Pulse exclusive. So all of our retailers over here weren't able to ship it. It really caused a bit of a controversy because there was a lot of it was doing so well, and then it was just taken, which was a real shame. But the line's still doing well over here. People love it.
Well, Pulse is the devil, so that makes sense. Like I've been working very hard to, I call it Hasbro proofing my business, so that when the day comes that they pull that crap here, I'm ready for it. Luckily, not unluckily, like they have their own turmoil to deal with, it seems. So I'm not too worried about it these days. But you know, that's always a big struggle. Is many companies are trying to do direct to consumer as much as possible. And it makes sense on paper. It makes sense in board meetings. But if you're a toy designer, you're not a distribution expert. You're not a salesperson. Like you try doing too much, that's usually the kiss of death for companies. And I think a lot of them are going to quickly learn it. Some of them have already figured it out. Like NECA only does here in the States. They'll take certain things and make it exclusive to them. But they're like, oh, no, we're not carrying inventory of everything. Screw that. No.
Yeah, that's fair play. That Hasbro stopped the selfie series as well. I noticed. Like I only picked up on this last week, was it? They've stopped it.
I'm not surprised. That seemed like a disaster.
There was a big push on it though, like a really big push on it. But
like everything I saw looked really bad. Like unless you were at San Diego where they had the big 3D scanner, if you did it on your phone, like it didn't look good.
No,
like,
they all look very similar.
Yeah, like you could get a guy on Fiverr to do a better job sculpting than you did.
Yeah. No, Hasbro's, you know, I think the biggest thing over here, I don't know if it's the same for you over there, that so much is going to sale, is that very quickly it's going to sale. So we have a couple of stores over here. So we have like our version of GameStop, which is Game. And we have some sort of discount stores that are like Ross's and stuff, like B&M. And a lot of things were showing up in those places very, very quickly after they were going live. So the kind of the conversation in groups and on forums and stuff is, as soon as a new wave's announced, people are like, well, I'll wait for the sale. I'll wait for the sale. And so it kind of, it really slowed the momentum of collecting down a little bit, because people were just convinced that things were going to go on sale, and a lot of it has, which is, you know, not surprising, but at the same time,
it's not good.
Changed the game a little bit.
It's not good. I think that they've realized that they've devalued their product. Like, so take you back a year ago, 2022, towards the end of the year, Hasbro started working with all of us being the fan channel, to sell us their. They had so much inventory on hand, and they were just trying to give it to us. They were giving us great prices. Like, we were paying a third of the normal wholesale price for figures, and it was fantastic. But I don't think it was moving very quickly, because every week they'd send out their new list and you'd see the inventory numbers. And I'd be like, oh, holy shit, I think I bought half of what moved last week. So then all of a sudden that stopped, and all of these liquidation stores started showing up with all of this stuff. And from what I'm guessing and seeing, it seems like it's a bit of a one or a two-time thing, because they had to get their inventory numbers under control because they were sitting on so much. But they also realized that they devalued their product. So I think they're going to be careful with that going forward. I also think that, you know, I think people don't realize it, but what, you know, they get, I still do. You get so excited when you see, oh my God, I just got such a deal on this. But there's other implications to it. The other implication is, yeah, this is a great deal, but you might not be getting any figure next year if the line dies, because it's all going to clearance. Yeah. So I'm hoping they figured out, okay, we got to keep our print runs under control. The word on the street was that they cut them for 2024 by 35%. We'll see. I mean, I can tell you now that, like, a lot of the stuff that's coming out, good luck. Like, it's to the point where I've actually, like, I'll turn off pre-orders on things whenever I get a bad feeling about it, because I think we're going to start seeing the pendulum swing to the other direction here. And we're starting to see it on specific figures in some of their lines. With Star Wars, you're starting to see it with, like, that Ahsoka Tano Ringworld Mandalorian wave. Those last two waves with the Magna Guard, those are really starting to dry up everywhere. I'm still waiting on part of my inventory on those. And then, like, with Legends, I have still not seen any of the Spider-Man figures at a store yet.
Really?
Yeah. So, like, I'm thinking that, I mean, I take that as a good sign. Sounds like they really got a lot of their print run thing figured out. Now what's going to end up happening, because it always happens, they're going to take some figures that people are going to want like crazy, and they're going to really underprint them. And then we're going to hear everybody complaining about the scalpers again. Like, we're not far from that. No. So that's just kind of the name of the game. And it always balances out. It's like the Force. Everything must be in balance. Then they'll do another print run, and in 2 years, a figure that was going for $100 on eBay is now worth $20 again.
Yeah, definitely. Now, we similar with the Spider-Man over here. Like, the Spider-Man figures were really, they sold out everywhere on pre-order, because obviously it's slightly different for us. We're over here, you know, in regards to a lot of our retailers are our main channel for picking up figures, because there isn't as many stores that kind of stock them, like brick and mortar stores. And the Spider-Man figures came out, like the unmasked ones, that wave. And yeah, the pre-orders were gone like straight away within minutes, and it was kind of people sharing on forums like, this place has still got a meeting, like, quick move now. But then we've kind of had another wave now where some other stores are now picking them up and showing them. So we've started to see that kind of scarcity a little bit more, haven't we? So
yeah, 100%. But I've noticed as well, the latest waves aren't in any of the Smith stores or anything like that. They've really cut back in the UK on stocking them, so it seems like the online's the only way forward now.
Yeah.
And if we could figure out a way to keep shipping costs down in each country, like here, the US is so big that, like, I can ship to half the US at a really good price. The other half, not so much, because I'm not in the middle. I'm on the far eastern side here. And, you know, the way I kind of look at it is I charge you the lowest price possible. So I'm usually either the exact same price as retail or $1 over for Hasbro because the margins are so low. But with it, what I do is if you're on the East Coast and you're buying like a whole wave, it's almost always cheaper to just buy it from online. By the time you factor in gas, let alone the cost of your time, like it's not even close. Now there's a lot to be said for the thrill of the hunt. Like as somebody who was like a 20-year toy hunter, but it died for me after COVID. Like you go to 15 stores in a 5-hour period and find one Black Series figure and no legends. And it's just like, the hell's the point of this? That kind of ties into why I think the shows are going to be so important going forward.
Yeah, massively agree with you on that one. Massively agree. I mean, COVID was a weird one because, like you say, it did kill a lot of the kind of toy community, even over here, and it's different in regards to the hunt and stuff. But then it got this kind of breath of fresh air in new collectors that were obviously all sitting around their house and kind of like, hey, yeah, I'm going to pick up some toys. And then they came on board. And so the collecting habits have kind of switched. And I think, therefore, the companies obviously have to kind of align with that in regards to their allocation and that kind of stuff.
And, COVID changed a lot of things for the companies, too, especially here in the States where we were doing like all sorts of cash influxes to keep people upright. A lot of people found themselves making more money all of a sudden than they ever made in their lives because our government wasn't like really looking into what you actually made before they sent you money. They were just sending you money. And it took basically everything that was not a necessity, and the markets just blew up. And many stores, like this is probably, from talking to people on the inside, that I get the impression that's what killed places like Dorkside. They looked at 2020, saw their numbers from 2019 to 2020. They were like 5x. And they're like, all right, cool, we made it. This is the new normal. And then 2021 came down, and all of a sudden, they're not that far away from 2019 numbers anymore. And that's, I think a lot of, like, it's not just toys. It's everything. Like, there's a big market drop in comic books and sports cards and and vinyl. All the collectible things are seeing a major drop because there's just not as much money to spend.
Yeah, no, agree. We're actually going to a convention, aren't we? So we're going to a convention a little bit later in this year. We've been we're going up to the panel at a convention in March, which will be good fun.
We're hosting it. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I love it.
I've become a bit of like a hermit. Like I only do a couple of conventions a year at this point because it's just like, I got to leave my house. And it's just so weird for me to say that because like I ran restaurants my whole life. I was used to being around people. Now I've just become like, okay, I'll go out of the house. And then it's like, literally I'll be out for 2 days and I'll be at a hotel the first night. And I'll be calling my wife. I'm homesick. I'm ready to come home. I'm bored.
I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, I'm like, that's why I stick to the East Coast convention so I can go home each night.
Yeah, fair play. I love a good convention. I mean, the big one for us, we have like a MCM, which is basically like our SDCC, but they do it in Birmingham and in London, which is a bit more Sorrell's way, and then one a bit more my way, which is quite nice. But they're always really big, and they're the ones that you get your likes like Jada go to, NECA, Hasbro, like all the kind of Funko's always there, all the big players, and you get all the big celebrities and stuff. But they're always really good fun. To be fair, I've gone continuously for a number of years.
I just saw that Kevin Smith is going to be at Liverpool, and I'm like, I need to go get Kevin Smith's signature.
Yeah,
oh, really?
Need to get a photo with Kevin.
That'd be quite fun.
I've been in his store a couple times.
I'd love to go to his store.
Did you guys watch Comic Book Man?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
We were in Atlantic City, and I'm like, come on, honey, let's go. It's only a 2-hour drive. And she watched it with me. She had a crush on Ming, so she's like, all right, let's go. And we get there, and Zapsik was actually working the counter. And like, I don't know what I expected. I guess I expected like the guys who were actually in the show to not just be the everyday employees, but they were. Like, it was cool. It was really cool. Like they were telling me then, this is long before they were canceled. They were like they had a rent the storefront across the street to keep equipment in because they couldn't keep all the equipment there because it was an operating shop. And it was just really cool talking to him about it.
That's cool.
He didn't meet Kevin though. Kevin wasn't there.
Kevin, just Zapsec, and I think Ming was there. Was he there? No, Ming wasn't there, and my wife was angry.
2-hour drive, and he wasn't even there.
Yeah, now like if I could have met any of them, it would have been obviously Kevin. But then behind that, even though he doesn't work there, I'm sure Jason's there like 6 days a week, like just hanging out.
I was lucky to meet Jason at the J-Muse at the London Comic Con a couple of years back. He was such a nice guy.
I believe it.
He was such a nice guy.
Yeah.
I've met so many. I didn't do so much of the celebrity autograph or meet and greets, but I've met so many wrestlers over the years because those guys are at everything. And like I have so many different ones I have stories about. This year is they're doing WrestleMania in Philadelphia for the first time in 25 years. And I told my kids the other night, they're so excited. We got tickets to go do that for 2 nights.
Amazing.
Oh, I can't wait. Can't wait. Now I'm like, all right, guys, we're going to have to watch this now twice a week for 5 hours. Make sure you know the storylines, okay? And my son's just like, I know who John Cena is and The Rock. Or he doesn't even call him The Rock. He's like Dwayne. I'm like, that's not his name. His name is The Rock. Not Rock, The Rock.
WrestleMania was always one of them ones for me. I was like, I'm gonna do WrestleMania one year. I've got to make the trip. I've got to do WrestleMania, and it's just. And then I got old and I had kids, and the trip just seemed more and more unrealistic. And
I'm actually kind of disappointed in certain things. Like the thing that I really wanted to go to more than anything else was the Hall of Fame, and they don't sell Hall of Fame tickets. It's if you want to go to the Hall of Fame, you pay for the Hall of Fame, SmackDown, NXT, and the Raw after WrestleMania. And I'm like, wait, I got to buy 4 shows to go to one?
Wow.
And with 4 of us, I'm like, nope. Now, I am considering paying that crazy price to go to just the Hall of Fame and leaving my family in the hotel room. Like, it's definitely something I'm considering. Just because I'm crazy, and I think my wife I'll be like, hey, I'm going to go get ice. I'm going to go to the ice machine and then just not show up for 4 hours. We'll see how it goes for me.
Dressed all nice in a tux. Like,
like what are you doing? That's a really high-class ice machine. Really fancy.
There's a dress code at the bar. Like, it's fine. It's fine.
But, like, I don't even know that I have the energy for this because it is... So, Friday they have SmackDown. Before SmackDown is the Hall of Fame. Saturday in the afternoon they have NXT. Then you have to go across the street to the field for WrestleMania Night 1. Sunday's WrestleMania Night 2. Monday is Raw. Plus, there's like 15 indie shows going on around the city. And I was really disappointed. Wow. They used to do that WrestleMania Access thing.
Yeah.
And they don't do that anymore. Like post-COVID, they got rid of it. So I'm like, oh, crap. I got to figure out how. So usually WrestleMania 15 now, 25 years ago, that weekend, they had all of these different promotional autograph signings. So I got to meet The Rock at a Modell Sporting Goods, and I met the Big Show at Pep Boys. And those guys wanted nothing to do with those autograph signings. Like, they did not want to be there. I'm like, I'm 16 years old. I'm going up talking to The Rock, and I'm talking to him in storyline. And I'm like, do you think you can beat Stone Cold? And he's like, yeah, whatever. Kid, go away. Then I met Big Show, and I'm like, I literally go up to him and I said, how much do you bench? And he's just like, yeah, I don't know. And he shoos me away.
Man.
That was probably the 2 that were the least interested. Like I've had some really cool ones, like Bam Bam Bigelow. He was my first. He was really cool because then afterwards he had his son with him, and they were like going in the mall. Like I think I ran into him in Spencer's, and he was really cool to talk to. The Sandman hit on my mom, which was interesting. So I'm like, Mom, I need you to drive me to this autograph signing. Where is it? It's at the Burlington Beer Distributor. Shocker. And like, she comes out of the store afterwards. She went in to buy cigarettes. She goes, yeah, this guy was hitting on me. Oh yeah, that's him over there. And there he comes in, like riding in his Corvette with Enter Sandman and the cane. I'm like, oh my God, you got hit on by the Sandman, Mom. You're so cool.
I love it though. One of my favorite like childhood memories was going to see like WWE or WWF back then, live, like at Wembley with my dad, and it just felt like such a pilgrimage anyway. And we were right up in the nosebleeds anyway, but it was just incredible. And I just, even now, I can still remember that kind of feeling of seeing the cat, even though they're smaller than they probably were on the television if I watched them at home. But it's the atmosphere, isn't it, and all the rest of it.
Were you at that '92 show then? That was at Wembley. Is that the year?
Maybe I'd have to check dates.
That's the one that I remember really well. It was SummerSlam '92. It ended with Bret Hart versus Davey Boy Smith. Why I remember this stuff, I don't know.
You know what? It may well have been. It may well have been. I'm going to have to check dates, but I was quite small. Put it this way, I was at the age where I believed that all the storylines were 100% true. And this was just.
Out, and then next time I'm on, I'll give you the story about Davey Boy in that match because he was shit-faced.
Wow.
And like Bret had to basically drag his carcass around because he was so out of it.
Wow. You're just going to ruin one of my childhood memories.
I know.
Do you remember that like golden moment you had as a kid? Yeah, he was wasted.
Remember when the Ultimate Warrior was at the show? Well, right before it started, he held up Vince for more money, and he did it in character. Warrior needs more. The Warrior's worth at least 10 times the Macho Man.
Didn't you write him like a handwritten note or something?
That guy was insane. Like,
it's still one of my favorites, though.
One of my favorite things to do at night when I need to read something and I can't read anything that's going to wake me up is I read wrestling biographies and old newsletters, and I find this stuff so insanely fascinating, especially from back in that era. It was so insane.
Oh, it was crazy. I mean, it's great nowadays. I don't follow it anywhere near as much as I used to. I kind of know what's on and what's not and stuff. But back then it was a different era of wrestling. It really was. I used to love it. I used to absolutely love it.
This year's WrestleMania is going to be mental, though. It's going to be off the chain this year.
Yeah, it really is. Like, I mean, it looks like The Rock's going to be in it for the first time in 13 years.
And I reckon they'll bring in a lot of the family members out there because he's going to be going up against his cousin Roman Reigns. Because Roman Reigns calls himself the head of the table. Yeah. And the Rock recently came back and did the whole: should the Rock sit at the bar or should the Rock sit at the head of the table? It's like,
I love that. And you know what's so funny is the last time I was at a show was Royal Rumble 2015, and it was the year that Daniel Bryan blew up, and everybody wanted him to win and go on to WrestleMania. And he didn't. He just got unceremoniously thrown out. And then Roman Reigns won, and we booed the hell out of him. I was actually really proud of my Philadelphia brethren that night because we lived up to our reputation. And you could hear us on the camera. We did not go light. And then it was like, okay, break glass, play the Rock's music, hurry up, have the Rock go out there. And we still booed.
Because I think this year you're gonna have the likes of John Cena's going to be there because he'll be promoting something. So John Cena's going to be there. You have The Rock in the building. You're going to have CM Punk in the same building. Cody Rhodes. All the new current talent. There's going to be so many older guys there coming back to do it. There'll be so many people at this WrestleMania. It's going to be insane.
And I love that. I love that CM Punk is back there. I love it like that. I watched that show and I'm sitting there watching it, and I was hoping he'd show up. And then the credits roll, and I'm like, well, I guess it was for nothing. And then the music hits, and I just popped.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's going to be good. But going on to some sort of toy stuff, what do you make of Super 7 and Disney? That were a big shock. Well, the Super 7 and Disney have kind of separated ways now, haven't they? They've cancelled all the pre-orders of everything that was coming. And they've separated ways.
To me, brother.
Oh, you don't know this, dude?
I don't know this. So
on Robbo, on
hatred. I don't love Super 7. I'm trying to accept them for what they are, and I'm just not there yet. I've never been able to sell a single Super 7 figure in my life because nobody pays full price for them.
Yeah, so on the Fwoosh's channel, it's not Robbo anymore, but the Fwoosh.
Don't know.
Yeah, the Fwoosh had their sort of live show with the guy from Super 7, and he basically was saying that Disney has not chosen to continue their licensing with Super 7, which means they've also lost Simpsons. So anything that has been announced from the Simpsons will come out, but after that, everything's been pulled.
When did this happen? How the hell did I miss this?
About 4 or 5 days ago.
Oh my! I'm living in a cave over here. I'll tell you, I'm honestly not that surprised. So Super 7, New York Toy Fair. So like they were on my list of companies to talk to, because if I'm going to sell your product, first off, I'll sell any product, but if I'm going to invest heavily in a product and actually buy more than just what's pre-ordered, I need to know that I believe in your company.
Yeah.
And going into Toy Fair, I didn't really believe in Super 7 because they made product, they made way too much of it. It seemed overpriced to begin with, and then like nobody pays full price for it. So I went in, I told them this, and they're like, no, man, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to continue to buy the minimum. And then I went next door to 3-0, and there was the complete opposite. And I'm like, okay, I like you guys.
It's,
you know, Disney's becoming very fickle with their properties in the sense that they don't like seeing them on clearance.
yeah.
So I'll tell you, that's probably what it was. If I were a betting man, that's what I would bet on it. Like they were not happy with the way that the line was being represented and their properties were being represented.
Yeah, well, the Disney Ultimates, I mean, it was great for like collectors like us that wanted the old school Robin Hoods and the Fantasia, but Disney want to sell to kids. They want mass production. They want as many sales as humanly possible. So I'm guessing they wanted more of the usual Mickeys, Minnies, and like the more modern characters getting created. And I think Super 7 had different ideas, so they've just kind of parted ways. But one of the sad,
like that's always seemed like NECA's always to me been like the better version of Super 7 for half the price. So like Disney, if you're listening, Mickey Mouse, give the old NECA a call. They'll do you well. Check out the gargoyles; they'll do you really well.
Well, I wonder if they were going to go all in with McFarlane now.
Can't mention gargoyles because we don't get them.
You don't get them there.
We're not allowed.
They're not allowed. Yeah.
I can't.
So they are incredible looking figures, but yeah, our distributors can't. I don't know the exact ins and outs, but for some reason they can't be sold.
Yeah, gargoyles, dinosaurs. There's a bunch of stuff in there, but a bunch of licenses that are just not allowed to sell in Britain.
I just actually dinosaurs was an incredibly disappointing low seller. Gargoyles outsold them 5-1.
Yeah, gargoyles look incredible. I mean, we do get them. There are people that get them as imports and stuff
but
like
it's
that.
Not cheap. Then you're not paying normal pricing.
You're paying a lot more, aren't you? I tell you what. Speaking about NECA, you might be able to give us a bit of a clear something up for us.
Yeah.
So we were talking on Sunday's show about some of the new reveals this week and what had been coming out. You know where I'm going with this, Sorrel?
I think so.
And they've obviously released the trick or treat figures. The
the Ben Cooper.
Yeah.
Ben Cooper ones. That's it. Are the masks removable?
I have no clue. I have no clue. I don't think anybody actually knows. Like all we all know is that there's 15 in a case and they're coming 5. What is it? There's 5 figures, so we're getting 3 of each one in a case. That's all we know. And like when I ordered them, my wife, who's like 5 years younger than me, is like, "What the hell are these? No one's going to buy them." And then the order started to roll in, and I'm like, "Boom! Who's young now? I know something."
Yeah, that's only wave 1, isn't it? Because I know as soon as that started coming in, and all the retailers started putting the words wave 1, meaning that clearly NECA have got ideas for a wave 2. Because there's half of the costumes are missing, like the big ones, like your Dracula's not there, Bride of Frankenstein, the Witch. Yeah, we were talking about it on Sunday, weren't we? The Wolfman. There's some big ones that aren't there. So I think there's definitely going to be a wave 2.
I do find it interesting that they aren't doing it like usually. NECA does 95% of their products in solid cases only. And they're not doing that with these. And it's going to be interesting because when that happens, we often run into one of the figures being super hot, but retailers aren't willing to restock it because they don't want the others.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming we're going to see that. Like, I'm not even selling them as individuals. I just put them all up as a set.
Yeah.
I'm like, not a set.
Yeah.
There's been a few retailers over here that have done the same.
Yeah.
That makes sense as to why we were wondering why they were going up as sets and not individual, weren't we?
I reckon it'll be like the likes of like when you go to Comic-Con, you'll be able to buy them individually because they'll have them on the tables, and then you'll have like on the online they'll want to sell them in sets. That's how I see it going.
Yeah, it really. I mean, NECA also is known for making really hard and rigid card backs, so they're nice. Yeah. It's like the opposite of the Hasbro card backs. But they're huge. Like their Remco figures that they made like Remco Frankensteins, very similar. the figure's 7 inches, but the card back's like 40. It's like, where the hell do we put these?
Yeah. No, I really like them, and it taps into all the nostalgic vibes of Halloween for me. Like those masks were my Halloween costumes for a good 3 years. Like, do you know what I mean? That was about all we could afford. Like, you have a little plastic mask, that's fine. But if I knew if the masks were removable or not, then I think I'd have pulled the trigger already.
Let me see. Let me shoot something out here. Let me put a note down.
Did you see as well, Jacob, while he's looking it up, that they revealed the packaging for the Monsterizer?
Did they?
Oh, look at this nostalgia piece.
Oh.
Oh, that's good.
In the old style purple packaging.
They
Even
know
the
what they're
worn,
doing with nostalgia, man. They really do.
the worn corners as well.
Yep. It's brilliant, isn't it?
That's very
So that's
cool.
good. Yeah, the packaging for it. It's and I know it's a NECA exclusive in America, I believe. Over here, we're getting it as a fan channel, so it'll be all you retailers will get it over here.
Yeah, it'll be like what generally when they do their own exclusives, they do their own, they sell a crap ton, and then they give it to us, which we don't sell nearly as many, but it's still a nice thing to have.
Yeah.
So okay, let's poke a little bit. I know there's some stuff you can say and some stuff you can't, being a distributor and everything. How much can you talk about HasLab?
HasLab, I don't know. I can talk about what's been released.
Because not about reveals as such, but their Galactus, for example, we've seen over here show up at a lot of our retailers. Like after, yeah. Was it the same for you guys? Did you get a lot of them offered out to you at cost, or
yes
cannot
and no.
say? Okay.
Yes and no. So let's just put it this way. I had the Razor Crest in stock it lasted a day. It was only like $50 over the original price. So that should answer that pretty well. I think the bottom line here is that they have to make more than what is ordered just because of defects. So it seems like maybe they wait a couple of years and then sell them. The question is, how many do they actually have? And I think we got our answer when the U.S. Hasbro Pulse did their one day only from the vault sale here. So I did everything possible. I offered my children as collateral for those Unicrons back in September when I found out they existed.
Wow.
I knew that there were a certain number. I knew that it would have cost me around 50 or 60,000 for all of them. And I was like, I don't have that kind of cash today, but I know a ton of totally untrustworthy guys I can get it from in a few hours. So I'm like, I'll get it. But they were all sitting in the China warehouse, and I knew they were going to show up eventually.
It definitely posed a few questionable questions, I think is the best term to put, because, for example, with the Sentinel, especially over here, because the Sentinel for us was the first HasLab that was opened up to the European markets, and everyone went mad for it. But you don't see those. You cannot get them at retail. Like, if there was any extras made, they have long gone, long disappeared, or whatever. And on the secondary market, it still goes for quite a tidy piece. I could log on to my accounts now and buy a Galactus from a retailer. Like, I know where they are in stock, and that's not because I know a person who knows a person. They're just on the site. Like, a little bit more over than what they were as a crowdfunding project, but even still. And then the Vault thing very much raised a lot of questions. But NECA did a Vault, didn't they? It was NECA that did a Vault thing as well recently.
They're doing it at the minute, aren't they? They've just done the NECA Vault 2 drop, but they're like old products from the warehouse. I think they're doing more than anything.
Yeah, and that's a thing too. Like, if you've ever worked at warehousing, it is like that scene at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark. That's not unusual. Like, you find stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, oh my God, I just found the spare pallet of 1988 Ghostbusters. It's not quite that bad, but like, there's a lot of stuff that gets found, and people automatically think that it's like some nefarious plot by a big corporation to hold on to it. When in reality, it's just not being very good at organization.
Somebody didn't label it properly.
It's marked as being socks. It's like, oh wow, we thought these giant boxes that say Galactus, their barcode says that they're boy size 12 socks. How about that? But I think that, it is a very interesting thing. So Hasbro, in my opinion, they have like that corporate problem where if you've ever worked for a big corporation, God forbid they be very transparent on anything. Everything has to be like politicked around without a great answer, and they're going to stick somebody out front to be the spokesman, but not give them enough ability to answer questions completely, so they have to answer them vaguely. Like our marketing teams, I feel terrible for them sometimes because they're just put in rough situations. But if you're Papa Hasbro and you're doing a HasLab, and you're like, okay, I already know that on average, any product you have made in China is going to have a 1 or 2% defect rate. You're going to have to make 1 or 2% more to cover yourself.
Yeah.
So that part makes sense. But then it's like, okay, well, if you have a 1% on Galactus, 1% of 30,000 is what, 300? That's a lot. And if you're at 2%, that's 600. So then, okay, 300 defects, you had 600 extras made to cover for it. What do you do with the other 300? It's kind of a conundrum because it's like, if you sell them, it looks bad. It looks like, oh, I thought I had to fund this. I thought I had to pay up front. And then future HasLabs, people aren't going to be willing to pay up front. But on the other hand, if you just keep them in the warehouse until hopefully people forget about them and do the vault, then you have people questioning the same thing. So it's kind of like you're damned if you do or you're damned if you don't. Like it's one of those few where I can't really blame Hasbro for it because they don't really have a easy solution to that.
No. That's the thing. Like, and people like fans as well, so-called fans will be desperate for a HasLab, be gutted that they missed it, but then be the same people that, the same people that kind of come back and complain because they're on sale or they're being sold elsewhere.
Yeah, and the NECA Vault from, I've just looked it up. The ones that they're selling at the minute are like they're not massive figures or anything. So like they've got the Alf Comic Con exclusive that they must have had some leftovers of that, and then they've got a random Cloaked Predator Berserker from 2010 con exclusive, the see-through one from San Diego. That's up there, and the Django Unchained figure bundle for $1,000.
And let me just say on that, without violating anything, they also, when you have a damaged product, they're not going to sell it as a non-damaged product. Like, so on my site or on Big Bad's site, we're going to mark our damages as substandard and sell them. But if you're the manufacturer, you can't do that. You sell it as it is. So what do you do with them? So same question, like it's this, whether it's packaging or not, what are you going to do with it? You got to figure something out. And I think really what comes up in the end is, like when I just said Hasbro, you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. To me, at least, I feel like being transparent and honest with it would work. But then I go in the Facebook groups and I see people and how they take like anything and twist it to meet a narrative. So I guess that I understand why they wouldn't say anything either.
Yeah. Well, it's like at the moment people are complaining online because of the Ghostbusters. They haven't announced any plasma series as of yet. So everyone's like, well, they're not making plasma series anymore. The Ghostbusters line is dead. I'm like, they've just announced like loads of figures for the kids line stuff. Give them like, chance. The movie's not even out yet.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
Like they were a disaster. And, right now, the big thing in the States is everybody is going insane over McFarlane putting up a collector's set. I think it was for like Infinite Crisis or something. And it was exclusive to them. And they marked the price up to $40. And like, you would think that thank you, honey. You would think that they were asking for like a blood sacrifice for this the way people are acting. And like, there's people calling for boycotts of everything McFarlane because of this. And meanwhile, McFarlane is a company that, in my opinion, has been overly nice and conscious of price pressures and done everything they can to not raise prices.
Yeah. Oh yeah, agree. Totally agree. It's funny because the McFarlane toys, like, even though they're popular over here, you see a lot of them at discount. Like, a lot of them
I think it's because the distribution for the UK is messed up, isn't it? Because we have, as I said this on the last podcast, we get ours through Bandai and Heo.com, which are the distributor for the UK, and they're just not. They don't put them out to stores very often. They tend to be online.
They massively overproduced it to start with. So, to give you an example, when that came out, that was McFarlane's had many licenses in the past, but that was probably the biggest license they ever had. So, conjecture, I don't think they knew how many to make, so they just made a shit ton. And the first 2 waves sold like hotcakes. So then they were like, oh my God, a shit ton wasn't enough, make more. But then, like, once the newness wears off, waves 3 through 10, we were like, this is not an exaggeration. At PowerCon in August, they were giving away figures because they had so much inventory. Wow. They weren't selling them to Ollie's. Literally, you go up to the McFarlane table, they'd have 5 playing cards, and each playing card had a picture of a figure on it. They lay out 5, whatever one you picked, you got to keep. And it was all like Black Adam, Page Puncher, 7-inchers. It was all the stuff, the Batman. They made so much stuff that it was terrible. Now they're short printing everything, and we're seeing the opposite effect. Yeah. And I honestly think it was wise of them. And a lot of people get really mad about the platinum figure chase thing. Again, as a person who is both a collector and someone who wants to see the industry thrive, I think it's great because it gives retailers, if you're brick and mortar, it gives people a reason to go in the stores. If you're online, it gives you something of more value so that you can use it to get rid of the stuff that doesn't sell. So like for me, I pull my platinums, and once I have enough of them, I just do a mystery box. Easy peasy. You're going to get 1 or 2 platinum figures and 1 or 2 very common figures.
Yeah. No, brilliant.
Yeah, we on about the other day, because there were people on about they do a lot of like the Joker Eye series, and they'll repaint a lot. They'll do a lot of repaints. But like that is not new in the toy industry. Repaints, like that is not a new thing. Look back at like in the 80s with the Turtles. That were just different colored, bandanas.
Yeah, like I mean,
same mold.
Again, if you're going to stop being like short-sighted for a second, that's good. That means they're cutting their costs and they're keeping their costs down, which is going to trickle down to us. And it always has with them. They've always been very, very price conscious.
Yeah.
It's funny. I've had a weird relationship with McFarlane. So when I started the store, I carried them. And when I carried them, it was at the peak of them overproducing everything. And like, I actually had to donate a crap ton of McFarlane to Toys for Tots because I couldn't sell it. So I'm like, well, I got some room in my donation write-off. I'll just give all these away. Then this year, I'm watching and like I'm looking at the figures, and it started with they started sending the YouTube channel figures. They're like, here, have some figures. And I'm like, you guys know that I have a store and I stopped carrying you, right? And I literally said that, and they're like, yes, thank you for the disclosure. We really appreciate your transparency. I'm like, okay, guess I won't see any more of those. And then they kept coming. And like, I'm getting these, and I'm like, damn, these are pretty good. Like, my biggest complaint is probably character selection, but how much of that is driven by them? Like I felt like they really overdid that what was it? The Dark Knight's metal, whatever it was, the heavy metal. I hated that storyline. But now they're getting into older movies. They're getting into better classic characters. The new Superman that's coming out, I think, looks incredible. Wonder Woman looks awesome. I like the Batman and Robin movie figures better than the damn movie. Like,
I've got them right there.
Yeah, they're phenomenal. Like, they did such a good job on them. And I've been really impressed with it. And like McFarlane's been coming into, it's slowly becoming one of my better sellers. And unlike a lot of other companies, so like one of the bigger struggles for me is not being called Entertainment Earth or Big Bad, because those are the only 2 big ones. Getting all of your solicitation information before it drops has been a problem for a lot of companies. McFarlane, I went up to him at Toy Fair. I talked to some people, got a business card, and a week later I started getting all the information. Like, I'm like, what the hell? This is great. Meanwhile, like, I'm getting brushed off by places like Jada Toys, and who else gave me the old Mezco? I'm not even 100% sure Mezco's a real person, the company. I don't know that anybody even works there. They don't show up to any shows. They don't answer emails. It might just be like a fictitious robot at this point. I went to their listed address in Long Island during Toy Fair just to see if anybody's actually there. Like, I'm convinced that it's like aliens who are sending toys down to slowly brainwash us, or something to that effect.
Oh man, that's cool though. We don't get McFarlane, like,
really.
We get, obviously the retailers and stuff get it, but they don't deal with like, they don't send it out to YouTube channels.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know how they found. I think it was just because I was trashing McFarlane on the regular. I think that's what it was. Like, I put out a video last year after Todd put the video out about how their sales were higher than Marvel Legends. And I just, like, I think the thumbnail just said I call bullshit, because I'm like, there's no way. Like, unless you're counting clearance sales, there's no way.
Yeah.
But like, I've just been really, really happy with how much they've been managed to do. I feel like everybody who's getting angry at them in the last 2 weeks over one wave, and like, people are posting in groups their chat messages with McFarlane customer service. And McFarlane customer service has been handling it wonderfully. They're just like, they're very transparent. It's just this wave. The tooling costs were higher. Like, what do you expect? You expect to pay the same price for, again, not apples to oranges, but like a flat iron steak and a filet mignon? They're different prices.
Of course. And the thing is as well, we have like a toy line that's relatively new in comparison to some of the others that have been around for longer. You know, for collectors that have been collecting them for X amount of years, or from the beginning, for their all of a sudden the next wave to hike up, that naturally people are going to be scared and going to kind of overreact and stuff. But no, I think they're going from strength. I don't think we're going to see them go anywhere anytime soon.
No, I think they're doing really well. I'd love to see them pick up another license, though. I feel like the licenses they have, like their anime license, I don't have a direct account with McFarlane because I can't sell enough of it, because the only thing that sells well is Multiverse. But like Spawn, Mortal Kombat, whatever else they're selling, it just doesn't move. So it's hard for me to be able to meet their quotas. And I'd love to. I would really love to meet their quotas and get it direct from them.
Yeah.
But it's tough in that sense. So I love to see them pick up, hell, maybe they can pick up Disney since Super 7 lost it.
Yeah, I was thinking they already do their the game. I forgot the name of the game. There's like a game Mirrorverse. They do the Mirrorverse. So it'd be cool to see them pick up like the regular Disney line and do more with it. Yeah,
it would. It would be really cool to see what they came out with. I would love to see that.
I just don't understand why Disney have never pulled the trigger with somebody like Hasbro or Mattel to make a proper action figure line, this universal size-wise, like scaling, because like everyone would love to have a Hercules, an Aladdin, a Tarzan. Like, there's like loads of action-oriented characters like Mulan, and that you'd just love to get figures of to put on the shelf, but they've never done them properly.
Yeah, that'd be incredible. And like, I don't know, it's one of those things where I think it's almost like they're too big to see some of the easy gimmies for money. Like, that's such a gimme. Like, those characters, and so many of them, like, you could reuse the same parts figure to figure and just change up a couple of things.
Easy.
So I don't know, maybe that's what they, and you know, a lot of the bigger companies, Hasbro's doing it now. Hasbro's been very, very, very honest in their corporate earnings calls that their goal is to license out as many of their things as they can. They don't want to be in the toy making business, it seems. They want to license out the properties and be a licensor, I guess is the word. Like, and some companies that are out there, I'm all for it. Like, I'm not a huge fan of Super 7, but I love what 3-0 has done with Transformers. I absolutely love it. And talking to the guy who runs 3-0, Ray, he, like, they have their, like, they just have their, I guess, shit together is the best way to put it. Like, they really are a very, from the engineering team, the design team, to the sales team, they're a very strong team. Like, they really have their stuff together. Like, everyone complains about 3-0 Transformers not transforming. they have all the engineering ready. They just don't have the license for it. Like Hasbro said, you can make Transformers, but they can't transform.
Yeah.
So like they want it. They want and I love to see it because like those things are incredible.
Mm.
And in my own collecting, I've kind of come to the place where I find myself saying 5 Marvel Legends, 1 Mezco, 1 Mafex, where I'm moving more towards, because of space, I'd rather have the one thing over the 5 others, just because, like, okay, well, I can fit this Mafex Daredevil in a tiny little spot.
Mm.
You know, whereas
I did a similar switch though this year. Like, so I was the completionist of Marvel Legends since the beginning. Like, literally, I'd been collecting them since the Toy Biz days. Had a complete collection from 2014 onwards up until last year, and switched it out for Hot Toys. I was like, I was kind of like, just even because you can see behind me here, like I can get 3 Hot Toys. I'd have like 50 Marvel Legends in one of those cabinets, and I could get 3 Hot Toys. But the 3 Hot Toys like look better, like they take up a better retail space, if you like, in my collection. I just, yeah, so it's just, and the details, and I really it was a big hesitant that I was really hesitant to switch, and then I picked up a couple and I was like, no, this is an easy switch now, just because some of them are incredible, and it's all about the detail and the change, and like you say, the quality over quantity sometimes, and especially for collectors now, seems to be a big selling point.
I think a lot of people are on the fence with it. I think a lot of people are afraid to pull that trigger. They're used to, like, why would I pay over $25 for an action figure?
Yeah.
You don't know until you do it. I didn't know till I had a store. Now I have this weird obsession with Mezco. Mezco is my thing right now. Like, there is one of those Steelbox Fantastic Four sets sitting on the shelf out here, and I'm like, I need someone to buy the last one. Someone needs to buy it before I just open it. And, you know, I'm looking at my... So I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to buy from my competition for my own collection. This is sick.
Yeah, I did the same thing this past year as well. I've got more into like the Foo-Ray Planet and the Loose Collector and you know, the Joy Toys and a mixture of all sorts of stuff. But yeah, I've gone into the more, I've sort of ditched a lot of the lower lines now from Hasbro, McFarlane and the usuals, and kind of switched up to the more high-end stuff like your Mezco 112. They're absolutely phenomenal.
It's insane. And I've been picking them up. They're used, but you can't tell they're used. It shows. Like, I picked up Hellboy for like $60 a few weeks ago. I'm really mad at myself because I turned down Iron Fist. I had a guy who was like, who was willing to do $150 for Iron Fist and Moon Knight together. And I'm like, I'll walk back. And then I forgot about it. I'm like, I was so stupid. But like, you know, I'm falling for those.
What I got this past year, sorry, Jamie, it was they did Leatherface in the 112, and normally, like someone like NECA would do all 3 figures, where you'd get, you know, the blue jacket version, then you'd get the kitchen version with the mummy face, then you'd get the regular version. Whereas Mezco just gave you all the options in the box. You could take the jacket on and off. You could have the different aprons on, the different masks. They gave you it all in the one box for like about 60 quid, and it was the best figure of the year. That for me, one of my favorites of the year.
You know what turned me was the first one I got was the Mezco Ghost Rider.
That's what
it was a return, actually. Someone returned it because they said they opened it and the foot was off. So when I got it back, usually with returns, I put them on eBay and try to sell them for cost. Well, this one, I was able to just pop the ankle back in, and I was like, this is incredible. This is mine.
That's the only Mezco I have in my collection is the Ghost Rider, and he's up there on my little Ghost Rider shelf. And you know what?
I really like Mafex too, and I like Mafex better for like traditional superheroes who wear spandex, because I don't think that Mezco has nailed the spandex look yet.
Not quite yet. No,
but like when you get this, I have my favorite 2 Mezcos are my Ghost Rider and my Netflix Punisher. Like, they just nail them so perfectly.
Yeah. The funny thing is for me, the Ghost Rider, the sell for me was the bike.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So straight away, I was kind of like, you know, Ghost Rider is one of my favorites. He's one of my favorite comic book characters. I've got a 112 figure coming in the next couple of months as well, which I'm very excited about, with an alternate Nicolas Cage head, because it has to be done. But I've got a lot of the Marvel Legends. I've got a few other figures and stuff, but it was always the bike. I was kind of, you can't have Ghost Rider without a decent bike. And Marvel Legends never quite did it properly. I customized one and I made my own one and kind of kit bashed and all that kind of stuff. But then when I saw the Mezco one, I was like, you know what? I'm getting it just for the bike. And even if I don't like the way the figure is, at least I've got a decent bike. And I got the figure out and I was like, this is amazing. And then as soon as I switched the head on and it had the flickering light, I was like, I'm done. I'm sold.
That's a deal breaker. The one I got after that was Mr. Freeze. And
Nice.
I don't know if you've seen that one, but that one has like the way they did like the frost effect with like flocking. And I was just like, I am flocking into this. This is mine now. I was all over it.
It's funny you say Moon Knight as well, because Moon Knight was the figure that switched me to Hot Toys. It's the
really?
Here we go. He's just there, and it's based on the MCU one. Like, I opened the box up, and the detail and the accuracy to the show and everything like that, and I was like, wow, this is where the quality's at. And it came with the big moon kind of base and everything, and Moon Knight and Ghost Rider for me were two characters that took me to other lines. But I haven't picked any other Mezco up since. Like, I've got that Ghost Rider, and I'm just looking for the right next one.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna get the Morbius one, but like Zoe said, it's the jumpsuit look. They just can't do that just yet. It doesn't look right for Morbius.
So I hear a lot of good things about 3/4 of the Fantastic Four set. Like, it's the best Mr. Fantastic, Thing, and Johnny Storm you're going to get. But the Invisible Woman, I don't know why every company insists on making her with a butterface, but she has a face that looks like
it's every single version. I don't understand. I really don't. I think the best version I've ever seen was the Jessica Alba one back in the day. Like,
you're really good back there now.
For its time, it was a really good figure, and it actually looked half decent. But all of the Invisible Woman, and the recent Marvel Legends one, just they've got such a huge catalogue of faces. You could literally put anything. There was one person on one of the Facebook groups who had popped the hair off and were just putting the hair on different Marvel Legends figures, and every single one looked better than the one that they used. And it was
that Marvel Legends Invisible Woman was so bad. So bad.
It was so bad they made her twice. It was like
it was so bad. Like, I just don't get it. I'm looking back at the Mezco stuff to see if there's anything else that I'm like dying for. So the Robin that they put out, he looks really good. I'm very, very tempted on that one. I haven't pulled the trigger. Dr. Doom is on his way to me. That's another one because of the way his suit's set up. I feel like he would really look good in the Mezco style. I'm considering it.
Yeah, one thing I definitely learned this year that I think for me, my collecting habits was actually crossing over to different lines is okay.
It totally is. I struggle with scales. Like with Hot Toys, I just can't get into that 12-inch scale, man. I just can't do it.
No, I couldn't. I really couldn't. But once you go 12-inch, you don't go back.
Jokes just write themselves.
Yeah. But no, it is. I was exactly the same, and especially for me, like it was all about customizing and figure photography, and that was a lot of the hobby for me. So Marvel Legends were the prime candidate, because it was like, you know what, if I damage it, if I burn it, if it breaks or whatever, it's okay, and you wouldn't take the same risks, for example, with a Hot Toy that you would with a Marvel Legends. So I'll throw a Marvel Legends in my pocket if I go to the beach or if I go on holiday or something.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do the same with a Hot Toy. But once I kind of moved away from that, I was kind of like, you know what, for display, they're much better. And the one really thing that does let it down for me with them, though, is that they quite clearly state in the instruction manual, don't do too much with this because you'll damage it. Don't over articulate it. Don't hold it in a pose for too long. Like, basically just put it on your shelf straight out the box.
Don't look at it too hard. It will make it sad and it will break it hard.
Don't feed it after midnight. Don't get it
like
wet. But when you look at it's funny because you look at characters like Iron Man and War Machine and the ones that are the more kind of robotic or kind of suited, and they are stunning, like absolutely stunning. And you can move them around and put them in poses. Another one for me, which was absolutely stunning, was the zombie Iron Man from
What If?
Which was it? Far From Home? the Mysterio scene.
Oh,
Where-
okay. I know.
Yeah, and Hot Toys did one of that, and he comes with a big base, and the zombie part of him is incredible, and there's all bits hanging off of him and everything. And it was just like you wouldn't get this same detail in a 6-inch figure. Like you just don't. And the fact they light up as well is quite cool.
Yeah. Well, you know what? The first one that really had me considering it was they put a Darth Maul out last year, and when I noticed he had articulated eyeballs,
Yep.
that was like, wait, what?
That's back into the old Action Man days with the old like boop, 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 boop on the back
At
of
first,
his
I
head.
thought it was a joke. I thought it was literally like just a spoof. I'm like, there's no way that's real. And then I was like, oh my god, that's real.
No, that's crazy. That is crazy. So what have you got planned for the year ahead? Because obviously we're at the beginning of 2024. What does 2024 hold for you, Nerdzeric? For yourself, for the store?
Interesting. So my big goal is to learn how to be an entrepreneur and live normally. Like it's really hard to get away from toys. Like when it's your business, it's like, okay, what do you do when you're not doing toys? And it's okay. Like I enjoy doing toys all day. The problem comes in where it's like, okay, I'm feeling burned out, but what the hell do you do if that's what you always went to? So like for me, I've also really learned that working from home has not been good for my physical fitness level. So like my wife's like, listen, like today I shoveled the driveway and she's like, you look like you're dying. You need to go to the gym. She like pulls up my iPhone. She's like, you did 800 steps today. And I'm like, oh, really? I did that many. And I'm like, yeah, so my big goal is to really try to take a little bit better care of myself because I have been a terrible YouTuber. Like I have been the world's worst YouTuber since like last May. I think I put out like 12 videos. And a little bit of it was like a creative crisis because I was like, I don't want to do reviews because I feel like a guy who sells the toys and does reviews, you can't trust him. Who the hell's going to trust that person? I can't do rumors because I already know them and I can't reveal them. So it's been a bit of a struggle, but I've kind of found like my footing a little bit, really just kind of doing commentary on things, kind of like the stuff we talked about here. Now it's just like, okay, I need to actually film videos. So over the Black Friday Christmas period, I've been playing a game of takeaway excuses. And I bought 2 cameras, 2 extra mics. I have everything set up so it's on one button. So I can literally press a button from my chair to start recording directly to the computer. So I'm out of excuses to make videos. So that's big for me, is I really want to do that. On the store side, I don't expect to add too many new product lines. Long term, I'm actually considering Games Workshop and going that route, just because I think long term I want to really be more, not just toys. I really want to get into the board game end, maybe even into the graphic novel end. Like I think floppy comics is a death trap, and I don't know how comic book stores make money. But like graphic novels, if you order them within reason, and you're ordering like not current stuff, but you're ordering the hits. Yeah, you can make money on it. So we would love to get into a physical location. Like we still work out of our basement/storage unit, and it's like we have in USD a little over $175,000 in inventory, and it's just like, ugh. Like I have speaking of Mezco Ghost Rider, I have him stacked in my storage unit because I bought so many of those. Because once I got one in my hands, I was like, I gotta buy them all. And I did. Bought them all. Same with like the 4 Horsemen, the Headless Horseman. I'm like, oh,
he's amazing.
Yeah. I think I bought like 250 of those. And they take up a lot of space. I'm down to like my last 67 of them, I think.
Are they not really difficult to get hold of over here?
Yep. Stupidly hard to get hold of.
Really? Well, again, it's a big box.
Yeah,
it was the case of in the UK. You had to get it direct from the 4 Horsemen store when it first came out, and then luckily there is one company over here, one website that basically stocks them.
I'm gonna have to start like putting things on like a inflatable raft and pushing it out the Atlantic Ocean and just hoping you guys get it. Put a note on there to Jacob and Sorrell. Hope you get there. And it's going to end up in like Madagascar. And they're gonna be like, what the hell is this?
Yeah,
Like,
no,
Joe,
Sorrell really wound me up because I was kind of like, especially being a Ghost Rider fan, I was like, yeah, I need to get myself a Headless Horseman because then I've got like a caretaker, if nothing else.
If you remember, for years I was always saying, why has nobody made a Headless Horseman? Like, that was my favorite like American like folklore stories, the story of the Sleepy Hollow. And then all of a sudden they just came out with this figure. I'm like, oh, it's like they read it from my mind.
Oh,
so I instantly bought one.
We haven't talked about them. Those guys are just killing my bank account. I love their stuff so much.
Oh, yeah,
like, they've had a good year this year with Mask of the Red Death and then Jacob Marley. They've had a good year.
Jacob Marley just fell over as we were talking, so he must have known we were going to mention him.
Wow.
Like, that thing, I love it. I didn't buy the monkey. It just didn't speak.
I didn't do the monkey. I
was just like, I don't need it.
He's the one I'm missing.
Really? Yeah. Like, and then Cosmic Legions has been, they're nice, but they're just not nice enough that I want them in my own collection.
Yeah.
You know, like, whereas Mythic, it's just like, I love you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, Poxus is already starting to show up in the States. Like, they're going to be shipping them out here probably any week now. I realized the other day I went and paid for the last of my order, and I'm like, oh crap, I've sold 75% of my order. So like when Go Live Day comes, I have very little. So I've been like emailing them every day. I'm like, can I buy some more? Please, sir. Please, sir. Because there's a lot of retailers who've like gone out since, I mean, this thing's been on pre-order since 2022. So they have extras, and I'm just like, please, sir, can I have some more?
The one thing that they've been very good at with us in the UK, because obviously I think they're from like New Jersey or somewhere.
Jersey. They're not far from it.
So yeah, they've been very good at sending things out to the European market like quick, like using like overnight mail and stuff like that. Because I got mine literally, that Jacob Marley turned up within 2 days.
Really?
It literally, I placed the order on like the Sunday. By the Wednesday, I had the figure in hand from America. Like, that's amazing.
I love those.
That's
guys.
faster than Hasbro.
Oh, they're insane. They're just great. And they're one of the more down-to-earth companies you'll ever meet, because like every show on the East Coast here, they're at most of them. And it's like, you know, head designers, Corn Boys working the cash register at most of them. Jeremy's there at almost all of them if he's not busy. Like, it's pretty crazy. I'm really looking forward to, so Jeremy Gerard's putting out a novel or novella, maybe it is, in that Mythic Legions universe. Oh, wow. And I'm like, man, this is what I need to happen. This is what I need. Mm-hmm. I need some stories, because just reading the bios and reading the bits and pieces on the website, it's not doing it for me. I need more. Like, I need I'm the guy who in 1998, like, I was going to Barnes and Noble, going through like the character and the complete history of Star Wars, like I'm Gandalf in the Fellowship of the Ring, trying to figure out what this ring is. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, oh, look at this. And like, you know, sometimes I forget that it's make-believe. So I'm like, oh, crap. Like I introduced myself. Yeah, I'm a historian of what? Star Wars? You want to know about the first Carillion Civil War? I got you. What about the regular Civil War? I don't know much about that one.
Oh no, Matt, it's been awesome chatting to you again. For anyone that's watching whether they're watching it now or watching it on catch up, where can they find you? Where can they get your details? Where's best to find Nerdzoic?
So I'm super easy. I only chose the word Nerdzoic because nobody used it, and it's only 8 letters. So NERDZOIC everywhere except for Instagram. Someone took it, so I'm Nerdzoic with 2 C's. Everywhere else, I'm just Nerdzoic. If you're in the States especially, you'll find my pricing to be awesome. You'll find that we are the fastest shippers when it comes in stock. When it comes to certain companies, we get them before most people. If you're not in the States, your shipping stinks. It stinks. Yeah. I apologize. But a lot of companies will like balance their pricing to make the shipping not look as bad. I'm just like, nope, sorry. I'm just going to show you exactly what it is. I'm not going to sugarcoat it.
Amazing. 2 things before we do kind of round up. First one, I need to figure out how to get one of them Headless Horsemen out of your storage unit and into my cabinet. That's what we need to talk about.
We're going to have to stick it on a boat with like a
I don't
rock,
care
and
whether it's
go slow, so it won't be as bad.
I don't care if it takes 2 months to get here. It's like you tie it to the leg of a seagull and just throw it out the window. It's fine. Like,
Give me an email with where it's going, and I'll see how bad shipping is.
yeah, have a look at it. And the second one, obviously, you know some of the reveals and stuff that are coming up. So top 10 figures that are coming out next 3 months. No, I'm only joking. I won't put you in that position.
I was going to say, Rectangular put them all out the other day.
He did.
Yeah, he's
So-
always quite good with it.
And I'll tell you now, like before I had my inside sources, I just went to him. Like
Yeah.
he knew them all. I
He-
haven't gone through his entire list yet against my sell sheet to see if it's accurate, but like my phone has like all these text messages asking for me to confirm things. And I'm just like, are you Hasbro? Are you the FBI? Because
All
there's
I
a
would
couple
say about
things
Rick-
coming that I'm like on the Hasbro end that I'm really excited about. And I
Yeah.
don't know if he's got all of them. There's a couple that I think he missed. So it's going to be a fun year.
Awesome. No, Matt, it's been great chatting to you. Always fun. Obviously, welcome back anytime you want. Yeah, so really just quick one to anyone that's still watching. We didn't get to as many comments as we're doing this lately. We're really letting people we're letting people down on the comments because we just get into the flow chatting to our guests and we just kind of leave it at that.
At least it's not like mine. Like my live streams, I'll get like a text message from my wife halfway through and she'll be like, you need to read the comments.
That's it. Obviously, if you're watching us live, then thank you very much. If you're not, sorry, what is it that they need to say?
Use the hashtag #CatchupCrew.
There you go. Use the hashtag. Use the hashtag Catch Up Crew if you're watching us on Catch Up. Little bit of cheese for you. Thanks very much, Matt. Thanks very much, everyone else that's watching. Sorry, do you want to say anything before we round up?
No, just thank you very much for coming on, Nerdzo. I'm looking forward to seeing what the new year brings for you and your YouTube channel. You do need to come back and make some more videos. What got me into your channel was all the videos where you used to break down numbers and do the most expensive Black Series, most
I got to
expensive
get back to
legends.
them. Some people hate them. Some people love them. Some people are like, you're the devil. You're bringing money into toys.
No, but that is what separated you from everyone else at the time. You were the only one at the time not doing the reviews. And that obviously a bunch of us have separated from that now and stopped doing it as well. But you were the first one to kind of lead the charge on that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that kind of content again.
Absolutely, I'll be here.
Good stuff. Brilliant. No, thank you very much, everyone. That's about it for our Geek Week Plus. We'll be back on Sunday. We got a very special guest on Sunday. We've been joined by Diamond Select Toys, which is one of our favorite retailers. Me and Sorrel love Diamond Select, and they're joining us for the live stream on Sunday. So
I will have to catch that one.
Yeah, make sure you tune in and stay up to date. So that's it. That's us done. Until next time, keep it geek.
Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and of course subscribe. Tune in next week for another live show. Until then, keep it geek. Stay up to date at www.geekweekinreview.co.uk.